Okay. I think we are back. I got Ohnahji B here. Let's start. Let's talk about Web3, episode 12. We're here on Wednesday, the 23rd of July. Feeling good. Lots of news and upcoming stuff happening. We had an awesome episode last week with Duo musicians. The two of them, Santiago and Clementine, were a blast. Can't wait to have them back on. In addition to that, we're going to probably be giving around some of those collectibles, those tokenized podcasts from the last week's episode, and sending them out to our guests. So any other ideas you guys might have for us to spread the word, help distribution, we're all ears. But as we do always start out here, I'm going to start off with a little bit of gratitude. Ohnahji B, how we doing today? What are you grateful for?
Doing amazing, man. Doing amazing. What am I grateful for? I'm just grateful for the stability to be able to live in a place where we can chase our dreams. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's a convenience and privilege that a lot of us take for granted sometimes. Even when there are things, especially going on in the U.S. and stuff, where we're like, this sucks or whatever. The government's not doing, like, for the most part, we live in a place that's like pretty solid when it comes to freedoms. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm thankful for that. What about you?
I like that. This week, I'm thankful for our community that we got here at the ZAO. I'm thankful for friends and family. Like we've been talking about the last couple of weeks, is the second half of the year. So just like getting ready to rock out that second half of the year, making plans, kind of seeing some other plans come to fruition. So, I'm just grateful for our community this week, and the ability, like you said, to be able to be in this time right now and rock it out with some amazing folks. So yeah, it's awesome to be here with you. A lot happened in the last couple of weeks. I think
Yeah.
the biggest thing, happening in decentralized social. I don't know if like that's where we want to rock out. Start. We can say hi to some of the folks chatting in here. Got a couple people. That's exciting. So shout out to you guys for popping in.
For sure. Got Epic in the building. Good to see you, fam. No doubt, no doubt. So, is the news you're talking about? Are you talking about the new blue square? Is that what you're talking about with the?
Yeah, that's one of the things, and
Okay.
paired with that is Farcaster, the client, announcing that they're doing collectible posts. And that's kind of coinciding with last week's base app announcement of everything new that they're doing there. But one of those big pieces of the integration they've done with Farcaster is that every post that you post can be a coin,
Yes.
leveraging Zora's protocol. And it really is cool to see these layers of integrations all interwoven together, not kind of like one stacked upon another, but just like these interoperable tech stack that people are leveraging. So yeah, I see we got Prism in the building over on the BetterCallZaal account. Feel free to come over to the Ohnahji B Twitch, chat with us, help onboard these amazing folks who were learning about Web3 for the first time, and also the awesome folks that are here. So yeah, shout out to all the folks in the building.
Oh, you guys are turning up, pulling up. I love it. Chat's going crazy. It's good to see all y'all. So thank you so much for coming through. Candy says she's thankful for this nice little Ohnahji sub. Yeah, we had a bunch of gifted packs from the past couple streams and stuff. So it's dope. It's dope to see the fam just showing love to each other, and yeah, we're growing together. It's amazing. So
Hell yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, the news, I guess if I'm gonna put it in terms that are hopefully understandable for new folks, is that Base, the layer two blockchain of Coinbase, released that they're going to be rebranding the Coinbase Wallet app to the Base app, and they're going to be leveraging Farcaster, a decentralized permissionless protocol, to have their social layer and their social graph. And one of the things that means is that if you already have a Farcaster account and you come into the Base app and join, all of your followers and the people you follow from the first client will also be there in the second. So you immediately join in and you can see your feed already populated with the people you follow. So this is the big reason why this is huge, is the fact that it is one of the first times that we're getting these big new social media apps that are not completely new for your social graph. What that means is like when you join this new social media, you don't have to start from zero. And I think that is one of the coolest and biggest pieces of this decentralized world. And yeah, I'm excited to hear kind of your thoughts on that. I hope I explained that pretty well. But yeah.
I think one of the key pieces, though, it's in beta, though, right? It's in a closed beta, and that's kind of interesting to me, just because of like, you know, a lot of the news and kind of like the media around it is kind of interesting, because there's a lot of that for it to be in a closed beta. So, you know, people are kind of like waiting around for if they can try it. It's kind of confusing, I think,
Yeah,
for,
I do think that I thought that the announcement would be them opening it up to
yeah,
everyone.
right, exactly. You would think that,
Because, like, I
but
mean, I've had this beta for now that this is going to be the third month, you know,
right,
May, June, and now July. So
yeah,
it's like I've been able to play around in this and try it out and heard that kind of this was coming and rumbling. So for me, it's like, okay, like this is cool, but like when can I invite my community to join in, right? Like when can I
exactly,
get this? Right now, it's like a lot of our community is asking us for invites, and it's like, well, go DM this person on the base team. It's like I can't really do anything. So
right.
it's cool. It's awesome. It's a lot of promo. It's a lot of marketing. I heard the event was really good, but like you said, like as a consumer, what is this giving for me right now? And not really much if I'm not able to even try out the app and it's still in beta. So I do think that is one challenge. We do have a comment here which kind of goes in line with this and some of the conversation we were having earlier about Zora changing their protocol. And Prism's asking, are we going to tokenize everything? And I do see and think that Base is going that direction where as of right now on the Base app, if you want to make a post, you automatically opt into tokenizing your post. And you have to opt out of that if you don't want it. So it's on by default. And that is interesting. There are pros and cons to it. I did hear the founder saying a couple of really cool things about why that is a benefit that I hadn't really thought of as much earlier that I can share in a minute. But I think one of the cool answers to that question, Prism, is the other side of the coin right now is Farcaster, where the base app created a place where every single post you create is a coin and it's fungible and anyone can kind of come in and buy it. Farcaster went the other route and made a one of one NFT, and you could collect a collectible of a post. So I definitely think that's an interesting alternative side to it. People, excuse me, online were saying in all reality, the monetization is probably going to come from both. If you have a post go viral, you'll get a little bit from the NFT, a little bit from the tokens. But I do think that one of the cool sides of this, of the automatic opt in tokens, is that if you do onboard a creator and they're trying out the base app, and they make a post and it does anything, they're immediately getting paid. So that is pretty cool to see, like creators getting paid. And one of the biggest explanations of how Jesse was explaining it was that they're moving the value from the protocol in getting all the earnings from the creator and bringing it back to creator. So I do think that's pretty cool, and I think it's another way of looking at it. And I definitely don't like the tokenize everything route, but I also understand it as if you're looking at capital markets, if you make everything a market, only things that have supply, have demand will be things that you want to put energy towards. So I think like we're in this little bit of an interesting experimental phase. And as these protocols kind of figure out a little bit more, we'll kind of see how that all rocks out. But
Yeah, 1,000%. I think, and there's been a lot of talk around, the tokenizing everything, even creators who have, hopped into the beta and have been making money. Like I'm talking big bags. They're like, okay, but at this point, that means like if I want to exit and take profits, like as a creator, that means I have to exit the coin, or I have to, pull some of that liquidity out. And then I'm kind of, for lack of a better term, shitting on the people who are, supporting me, or were buying into the token. So, but to me, it's a slippery slope because, you know, a lot of the talk around this tech around Web3 is just baking it into the back end so the everyday user doesn't know. But how does that work when if we're tokenizing everything, if we're coining everything, and nobody knows that it's a coin? You just know that you're able to, you know, support it somehow with some finances and crypto and different things like that. You know, we don't talk enough about, you know, people coming in and, you know, the OGs in the space that have those tactics where they're dumping and, you know, they're pumping, dumping, and, you know, pushing the liquidity and stuff like that. So, yeah, Prism had some really good things in the chat here. You know, he said NFTs all the way for sure. It's more about the experience. I heavily agree with that. But he said, I'm not sure if they're giving people enough warning. And it's like, how much? Because like once you go down that rabbit hole of teaching people what this is, you have to go fully down the rabbit hole of like teaching everything about the space. So it's like it's that juxtaposition between how much do we tell people, how much do people need to know. This, like you said earlier, Z, in a couple of calls ago, people don't want to learn how to drive the car, or they want to know how to drive the car. They don't want to know how to build the car or how it works or fix it and things like that. So it's like, I don't know. I think everything's an experiment. I think they're doing a good job trying. I think this leads the path to like being able to have games like where we're transacting, like microtransactions, and we have games and game mechanisms, stuff like that on chain. But I think, you know, some of these are just I don't know. It's just some of the steps that we need to go along the way. For me personally, like utilizing an app like this and knowing that we can post content and stuff, I changed my whole like intentions around what I'm posting from there. You know, I want to make sure that what I'm posting is something I want to live on chain, something that is collectible and things like that. So I don't know if like the average person just coming in and saying GM every day, right? Like we used to on Farcaster. That's, you know what I mean? Like, what's the point of coining all that stuff? So I agree with Prism. Like, we should be explaining to people that, one, this is on by default, right? It's an opt out, not an opt in, and like what this is actually doing. So go ahead.
Yeah, well said. No, I think all of that's super true. One of the challenges is education with what they are doing in this like big mass way, in a sense of like converting people to posting on chain without really realizing it. But then that is like where other Farcaster clients can come into play, where not all of them, every single post is, you know, on chain. So I do think there's sides of it, and like the education one's really going to be interesting. Like we're going to have a lot of folks in this space trying things out, playing on chain, but not really understanding everything. So that does give the opportunity for all of these amazing folks that have been pushing education over the last 2-3 years during the bear market to help bring those individuals into safe communities to help them get that footing in the space and really understand, because where they're getting onboarded, that's not happening. So somewhere in the space that's going to happen, whether that is them learning by experience by getting scammed, or them learning by someone telling them the ropes of another person's experience. So I do think this leads to like the next question of like, what is that piece of education as we bring people in that is like, what are the priorities of teaching someone how to move and transact on chain?
That in itself is a huge topic. You know what I'm saying? And that's, it's hard to navigate. I don't know. I think, you know, because to me, just posting content and posting somebody's content is harmless compared to like, you know, some of the shock value coins and some of the racist like tropes that we had to go through. Like, I would take this over that any day. But it's like, is this still helping humanity? Is it still helping the masses? Is it still helping, you know, people connect with each other and transact, like barter and trade things? Not really, not yet. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. But at the end of the day, it's cool to see
You could say not yet, but at the same time, like, has there ever been a time a creator could jump on a social media app, make one post, it do well, and them to have money that night? You know, like that's not something that's been possible before. So it's like, yeah, but also like it comes with these new innovations. So it's interesting, right? We're in a, like you said, grateful to be living in this time where we're in an experimental phase. Everyone and their mom is kind of like complaining about AI taking people's jobs these days, but like there's only so many new jobs going to be created from that. So understanding where you're going to be in this kind of space as it transforms is super important. So I think these new ways to serve the next generation of people working is going to be interesting, and it will be its own challenge with people not really knowing what they're doing initially. Yeah. And I do think that challenge is going to be something that, we're well equipped to help support, but other communities aren't thinking about that and just thinking, okay, come in, buy my NFT, and then blah, 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 blah from there, right? So the education part is going to be interesting, and I'm curious to see how this cycles individuals of retail that's joining for the first time is different than past cycles.
How do you feel this different? Well, we know how this differs, but like, how do you feel about the differences between this and say like a rodeo, where people are coming in and it's like an Instagram style versus, a Twitter or X feed or something, all text, or the ability to have images and videos and stuff? Like, how do you feel like? You think it was as detrimental, or it was as jarring? Because we were doing the same thing on Rodeo when it came out. There was plenty of people that came in, didn't know that it was crypto, didn't know. They were just like, oh, they could see a balance, they could post pictures, people are collecting it.
And right, that's the thing. It's like now we're a couple years out, whatever bad press, PR, whatever it was happened, they continued through and didn't get shook or rocked by it, and continued down that vision and path that they had, where, there's always going to be your people giving you challenges. So understanding, if those are engaged community members, if those are people yapping, just complaining, that aren't really involved. And I think that this is one of those things where it's like, there's going to be a lot of people complaining about it because it's a change of the status quo. Right. And no matter what, that's going to change is naturally going to bring people to want the same thing. But so many people are going to benefit from it that the change is going to be inevitable. And that's why I think that this is like a watershed moment in this space, especially where, while security and decentralization are taking a step back for this simplicity of onboarding, in an ideal world, these individuals will come into these spaces and communities where they will start to learn about the other side of Web3 if they want to, right? Because there's two sides of the coin. There's the people that want to dive deeper in, and then there's also the consumer side of people who just like want to play around in DeFi or want to do this or want to do that one thing, but not really dive deeper in and learn all these intricacies. So it's interesting. I think we're at a really interesting spot in social media as it is, and I'm excited to see what this brings.
1000%. It's like, I don't know, these moments right here, right before the noise, before, I think things are going to go crazy. We're in all-time high season again. It's cool. It's cool to have these new tools. It's cool to have these new platforms and things. But yeah, I see your questions, Z. Anyone got any questions about the future of social media? I think it would be helpful to kind of like, scale it back and things like that, and just, because as we do, get into the high level of the news and where we're at today. So, just, explaining, like, let's talk about Web3. What even is Web3, right? So yeah, you want to stab at it?
Me to explain what Web3 is?
Yeah.
Sure. Like at a base level, we're getting more and more towards this like definition of what Web3 is, or what I saw coming into the space, and that really is the fact that in Web 1 you were only able to read the internet. In Web 2 you're able to read and write on the internet, and now in Web 3 you're able to own on the internet. You're able to own digital assets, and that wasn't able to be done before. It was owned by whoever had the server up. And that ability to own digital items comes from the ability to be able to transact peer-to-peer. And those are the biggest like pieces to Web3, in my opinion. The peer-to-peer side and the owning side of the internet, like that wasn't there before. And that's how I would define Web3 is the infrastructure in place to own, to custody your own digital assets. And I'm curious, does that fall in line with your definition of Web3? Like, would you say there's more to that? And like, where do you go from there? Because this is like a lot bigger than just that, but that's like where I would say I came into the space understanding it and like why this is the next level of the internet. It's because you can own stuff digitally.
Yeah, correct. No, definitely. We went from Web 1, reading only, Web 2, especially in social media, just reading and writing, and then, Web 3, the ability to own and have everybody out there be able to see transparently what is being owned, what is being transacted on, and things like that. It's pretty cool. The chat's going crazy. No, Z, your definition is perfect. That's flawless. That's where we are. Look at you. Z in his producer bag. I love it.
Thank you. Yeah, we got a question from Prism here. You can read it, and then I'll start with my answer and see what you think.
Can the base app, the new base app, also TBA? I don't know how I feel about them doing the abbreviation TBA, but that's fine. That's fine.
I was thinking that too. I'm not a huge fan of like the marketing for the announcement of the announcement. Like.
Yeah, I hear you. Can the base app be the new social media app?
Oh no.
Everyone gets paid to post, like they're promoting. I mean, I would say Prism, yes, because like I immediately got on there, didn't really talk to anybody on there, and just started posting like I do on Farcaster. It was more so like me just posting actually like clips from streams and stuff.
So you're on it.
And oh yeah. What do you mean? Yeah. Oh yeah. I've been in it. Okay. You know me. I'm gonna be there. But no, so I mean I've only made like $6 across maybe like 10 posts or so. So I mean it's still like microtransactions in my experience. I have nothing's gone viral or anything, but I have been talking to Sierra. Shout out to Juju Mama. She's got that viral status going. She made an unofficial like mascot for the base app, which is like Billy the Blue Yeti or whatever. That took off like crazy. So she's making like thousands of dollars already just off that and that situation. She's also getting a lot of hate on the other side too, because for just Web3 crypto bro reasons. But it's
not about coining the posts.
Say it again. It's not what?
Is it about coining the posts? Is the hate, or it's just like
the hate was around AI art, actually.
Okay, then never mind. Yeah, not applicable to the format. Yeah. So we also got a couple other big comments here.
Yeah, so
I want to tap into that because I want to get to Prism's question at the bottom there. But Candy made a phenomenal observation, right? And this is why it's like the next level of social, is that the collect button is the next level of a like. Instead of just pressing like, you can collect something. And just like we assign this, not real, value, but this digital value to likes, retweets and quote tweets, now we can actually have money as a part of that piece of the value being pushed. So I think that's really interesting. And she also had a really good way of explaining the difference in Web 1, 2, and 3, where Web 1's communication, Web 2 is coordination, and Web 3 is coordinating value specifically. So I love it, Candy. Amazing observations. But that leads us into our next question here.
Real quick on that.
Yeah, go for it.
Shout out to Candy. She's always been cooking. But no, definitely going from like social currency into like a real, quote unquote, digital currency. So that's pretty cool, because that social cloud, people be using that, but it's not really, attached to anything other than that. So now that we're able to actually attach value to different things, that's the Web3,
now it's not literally just clout, but there's actually there's money associated with that quote unquote popularity on the internet, right?
Yep.
Awesome. So Prism asked, I wonder how moderation works in the new social media. And that's an amazing question, because this is an interesting part about this new social media, is that Farcaster as a whole, as a protocol, doesn't have any moderation. So
do they not? I didn't know that.
No, as a protocol, it's like a blockchain, right?
Okay.
Anyone can come in, permissionlessly interact with the protocol, and each client that's now built on top of the Farcaster protocol has their own set of moderation. So if you are in the Farcaster client app and you ban someone, that ban is not going to now transverse across to another client because the ban is within the client itself. The moderation is happening on the app that's on the platform. So on the platform level, there isn't moderation, but each app and each company, each centralized company that's built on this decentralized protocol can choose to have their own moderation.
Interesting. So, I mean, so I think for me, it's cool to recognize that, you know, Farcaster, the app, used to be Warpcast. That makes sense. It has its own moderation baked into, you know, Warpcast and that client. So yeah, but that's the juxtaposition that we face, talking about, you know, true decentralization or centralized apps and things and tools, right? So it's like sometimes we have to have, you know, not complete wild west where anybody can do anything on this new internet, right? But we have to have sometimes, unfortunately, humans have to have a little bit of rules and guidelines because people are going to go to the far extremes with it. And that's, you know, I don't know, that's a slippery slope, just being in this ethos of Web3 and blockchain and crypto. It's like, you know, we're bucking the man, we're bucking the system and governments and all that good stuff. But at the same time, we're finding real quick that humans do need to have a little bit of.
So I'm curious, where and this is a question that's been on Farcast for a while. Where does the need for decentralization come into play, and then where does the need for having a non-toxic platform through censorship come into play, while also keeping in mind building in a decentralized space?
It's a great question. It's a great question. Yeah, like Prism said, you know, like OpenSea taking down content, like who's to say? But also they came under
Content's
fire.
still up there, but that company specifically, actually, I don't know how it works with OpenSea because you can list stuff on OpenSea. So like, I don't know if you listed through them, if it's actually on chain or not, or how that works.
Like through like their shared contract, like.
Yeah, I mean, like OpenSea taking down content. I'm curious, Prism, if you could explain a little bit more. Do you mean OpenSea taking down access to viewing an NFT, or do you mean you hosted it with OpenSea, that they took it down and now it's literally not available?
Well, I know that, you know, they were able to just pull things off of their platform for the ability to to show it on their platform, and then it's still going to live on chain like elsewhere. They just don't, you know, allow people to see it or access it through their platform. But I knew they came under fire though, because they were like censoring a lot of artists and different things from, you know, other countries, especially in the Middle East, when, you know, like, you know, conflicts and things and stuff were going down, and a lot of people were kind of boycotting OpenSea for that for a minute. So it's like, I don't know. It's like everybody's going to have a say on what needs to go and what doesn't need to go, and I don't know, but you pose a great question. I feel like your question is more toward like the DAO side and like the governance.
That's
side.
another, yeah. I mean, social is one side, but like,
yeah,
DAO is definitely the other, right? Like I've come and approached my DAO completely differently than the concept of the word DAO, because I'm coming in as a solo founder, bringing, I mean, I got a million amazing individuals supporting, co-founding, and helping me create. But like, this is something that I've been working on for 6+ years, like this idea of I can build a platform, right? And it eventually just, the idea kept on getting bigger and bigger, and I was able to get the support behind it. But what I figured the creation of what we were going towards was, when I figured the creation of what we were going towards was a DAO, I realized that there was potential for us to do something that no one else has done, because most DAOs are created by groups of individuals, right? Yep. So a lot of our challenges with DAOs are actually different than the traditional challenges with DAOs, and we have our own unique challenges in place. So I think that like side of it's really interesting because we've gone the like very low decentralization end of DAOs and focus on chain and governance than many other DAOs, but we've gone with a really high focus on value and pushing social capital forward and building that within our DAO.
1,000%. I think the true beauty of like decentralization lies into the record keeping, right? And the inability to like tamper with the records. I think that's like the coolest use case for me when it comes to decentralization. But I'm like not a super decentralization maxi, right? I know that some centralization is needed, right? We have leaders as humans, and we look up to leaders to lead for what role models, governments, things like that. Not all leaders are bad in getting over on their on the general population and stuff. So I think I don't know. It's interesting. To me, DAOs, the concept of DAOs is super interesting because when people ask me about DAOs in the beginning, I'd be like, yeah, DAOs are cool. But to me, like the decentralized autonomous organization, I feel like Ohnahji and what we built, I run it like a DAO, right? I'm not making any moves or anything without consulting the token holders. And I think that's a lot of other collections move like that, right? It wasn't
1,000,000%. It's just not all written down in a structure. And
exactly.
It's not able to be permissionlessly joined and all these things, but you're taking those models and what those things benefit the like consequences of what you get out of DAOs and employing those within your structure, right? It's not written down anywhere. It's not this. And that's where I'm like, I love that, and I took a lot of my inspiration for what we're building off of how you built Ohnahji and everything you've done there, which has been amazing. And I think that part of it is a huge, awesome part where like when you got into it and DAOs were just starting, like there were these preconceptions and only these tools have been built. But by the time I kind of came around to it and was starting to build the ZAO, there were these building blocks already built for me to leverage, right? The whole way we do our organization of governance is from another community. Our fractal governance structure is something that wasn't around, when you started Ohnahji, right? And then, Hat's protocol wasn't at the level of polish it was back then as well, if it was even around. Charmverse, same thing. These tools that I'm able to leverage, and now just like waiting a couple years and then now attacking this DAO idea is really cool to see all of the amazing builders building the pieces for other people to now build on top of and make their lives easier.
Yep, 1,000%. And we're going to keep seeing that innovation in the space. And I think, every tooling, good or bad, even like the base app, however we feel about it, is just another step towards innovation in the space. And, it's mobile first. It's unprecedented on multiple fronts. Like we're taking a protocol and it's able to post and coin your content to push to a different protocol that, we've been using. It's like, it's pretty fire, not gonna lie. So only other thing that I hate about it, and you already know, is the ability to like add the old chains. I mean, not the old chains, my old wallets. So it is cool because I'm able to add my Ohnahji.base.eth whatever wallet, but like it won't, the OG Ohnahji.eth like getting left behind in that vault. And hey, it is what it is.
Wait, I don't understand what you mean by that.
So as of now, I can't add my own wallet to the new beta part of the app.
Okay, I see.
Which is also interesting.
Yeah, that's also why I haven't played around with it that much, to be honest with
Right.
you, because this is like a whole new account, and I'm like, okay, like cool, but like I do have I was using the Coinbase wallet before. I had my wallet there, like I was using it, so I was switching on and off the beta a bunch at the beginning, and then I just like gave up and started using a different wallet and just left the beta on. But like it didn't keep that wallet that I was using for the Coinbase wallet to move over. So I get that, and I can see that being a challenge. But hopefully, once they're out of beta and a little bit more finished, they'll be like Farcaster where you can add those external wallets and still leverage those.
Facts. Prism's in the comments still going ham. It says GitHub for Git. Open some more wallets, wallet connectors, or bridge the gaps for sure, sure. But that's advanced level, or just OG level, or just
that's like the side of things where I don't believe we can just like abstract away everything.
Yeah, that's true.
Like in a sense where it's like you can, but then when you take away control from the end user, the user can use the platform better potentially, but then they lose control, and that's like the whole point of us coming into Web3 in the first place. So it's like our mission at the ZAO is to bring the profit margin, the data, and the IP rights back to musicians. So it's like in that vein, I don't feel that goes in line 100% with that because of that, right? And that's why like our goal at the ZAO is to help builders learn how to build a smart contract, put it on their website, have one of their fans purchase that, and then get 100% of that fan's money that they've spent into their wallet. And I don't see that happening as companies abstract away layers of blockchain because they need to make money, A. B, as you give away, versatility from the user, it's the same thing as control. So, I think there's awesome. Prism said it best. I'd say, I'm gonna go out on a limb, and I can pay for this too if we don't agree for it as a Let's Talk About Web3. But I think I'm gonna give a little special pods episode to Mr. Prism here for all of the amazing comments he's had today, so he can keep that in his wallet forever. When I post this to pods. But yeah, he said there are different levels in Web3, which is great because one size doesn't fit all. And that's like the be all end all of this space. It's you can come from any background, any place in your life, any understanding of the space, and come into a space where every single person is unique and the same all at the same time, unique in what they bring and their background, but the same in that no single person is ever going to understand all of this. So you have to really get into your niche and what you like to do and what you enjoy doing and what you're good at, what you give back to the world, right? This concept of ikigai. Excuse me again. But yeah, no, I'm going to give a huge shout out to Prism for this episode. I think our special winner goes to him. I think we should now start doing that every episode. At least one of the chatters has to get
right.
So that means I'm going to have to get caught up on my pods. I got to get the Duo music podcast out, and then this one, and then hopefully we'll be on track to just keep on sharing those out. So I'm really excited for pods. I'm really excited for what we're doing here at Let's Talk About Web3. Figuring out our thing. We missed Easy today because he's having a blast out there in Cali with Jose in person for the first time after 4 years of working together. And that's really what Web3 is about, right? So I'm super glad he missed this episode just because he's doing, what the ethos of this whole space is and hanging out with his friends. So yeah, shout out to him. Excited to have him back next week. And I don't know. Do you have any last words for us, B?
I think shout out to Prism. He's been cooking, and we gotta definitely shout out him out. He's been on killing his incredible dev journey, cooking up some awesome tools for music creators, artists, producers in the space. So we'll definitely keep you tuned in to what the tools that he's building. Super sick.
I was thinking it would be cool to have different segments of Let's Talk About Web3, and I think once a month news would be good. I think like that's enough. Like, okay, this is like higher level. If you're newer to crypto, feel free to ask questions in the chat. We'll help answer, but we're not gonna like talk about it. But then it'd be cool to do like we did last week, guest interviews specifically with people doing things in the space. And switching off between those two, because I think it would be phenomenal to get Prism on to explain everything he's doing, but specifically M3. And I think that's going to make a bigger difference to the future of on-chain music. I mean, maybe not on-chain as a whole, but to what we're doing in our vision than these other applications right now. So shout out to Prism and all the other builders building like really cool things in-house, and really creating things that they see a problem and they want to fix.
For sure. You know, on that different levels of Web3, I think there's different levels of Web2, different levels of Web1 as well too, right? You can approach the internet in a completely different way. Like if you're a super dev just going in on the back end and and coding and all that good stuff from every level. It's the same with Web3. It's like you can just be, just a user, or you can be an artist, or just somebody just chatting, or somebody even really just like consuming content on there. You know what I'm saying? It's the same as like Web2 for me, especially when it comes to socials. So yeah, that's a super dope call out from Prism for sure.
Awesome. I love it. I had a blast with you here, B, today. Episode 12 in the books. We'll have Easy back next week. And maybe we'll have a special guest that we're interviewing as well. So we'll see how it all shakes out. And yeah, thank you all for joining.
All right, y'all. Episode 2. Episode 12. We killed it. All right, man.